People of Earth, we come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon, 7 minutes after the hour on this, the very first day of March in the Lord's year 2016. Isn't that called the Ides of March? Isn't the first, or is that
15th?
15th. Okay. Well, we're halfway there. You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the Ides of March?
It was a day. I know Caesar was assassinated on the Ides of March, but it has some type of significance beyond that. I don't know.
Okay. The voice you're listening to is one of my guests today, Tom Henderson, who's the Democratic chair of the Polk County. Well, that was silly. I was about to say the Democratic chair of the Polk County Republicans. So you're the chair for the Polk County Democrats.
That's right.
Okay. Whew. Man.
I'd be happy to take care of the Republicans, too.
I was going to say, poor Will Rogers is out there going, I just lost my gig, Mac. I just lost my gig. Also, of course, as it is every good Tuesday, Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines is here. And the show is an hour earlier today. Usually we take care of some news items in the first hour, and then we have our guests. But because of some scheduling issues, I wanted to get both Tom and Tom on today in the same hour. And so they're here in the 3 o'clock hour as we as a country approach. Is this the biggest day as far as number of people voting and number of delegates on the line? Super Tuesday?
Yes, a number of states.
There's
no bigger day than this one.
13 states, is that right?
Yeah, 11.
I thought it was 11.
11? Okay, so 11 states. And it's been on fire. I mean, everybody you listen to, everybody you talk to says this is the big one. Now, do either one of you want to declare who your favorite candidate is? You don't need to, but I'll give you that opportunity if you want to.
Tom asked me that off the air, and I told him I like the jib of Rubio.
Okay.
I've admittedly switched around prior to our caucus.
Yeah.
Mac, I think you have twosome. I think you came down late. I saw the picture of you and CJ with Rubio.
Yeah.
The day of the caucus.
I haven't talked to you since that.
We haven't talked about this issue a lot. My wife keeps me up on your Facebook stuff. So
well, the interesting thing there was, and Tom, I don't know if you know this, but I had my big foot in the Trump arena for a long time. I don't endorse a candidate. I don't think radio people should endorse candidates. I just think that's wrong. If you're going to change your vote because I endorse somebody, then you shouldn't be listening to me because I'm not that important.
It's also hard to get representatives or the individuals to come on once you endorse somebody else. Steve Dace is one that has done that, and I think it makes it difficult to get somebody else on.
Well, and if I'm a listener of Mac's show, and I know Mac's a so-and-so guy, why should I believe anything that comes out of his mouth that isn't, if it's not positive for his candidate? Why would he say anything negative about another candidate? We know why he would. It's because he's for somebody else. He's got an agenda. But the week before our caucuses, so not the Sunday before, but the week before, Donald Trump made the statement that his followers were so loyal that he could shoot somebody in downtown Manhattan and they'd still vote for him. And it was kind of interesting. Here's what I heard. Mac is so naive and gullible that I could do the worst possible thing that Matt could ever imagine, and that was taking a human life, and he would still vote for me. And I just fell off the wagon. I said, there's no way I can support this guy. And I had not figured out who I was going to caucus for. And so both my wife and I prayed before we went into the caucus and said, Lord, if there's somebody you want us to caucus for, just make it so evident that a 6-year-old could figure it out. Well, here I am sitting there in the caucus, and Marco Rubio walks up to me because I have a shirt on that says 99.3. Well, we're a network that is heavy into the East Coast, and he walks up to me and he says, I listen to that network all the time back home. He said, what do you do? And he starts talking to me, and then his wife walks up and starts talking to my wife, and her name is the same name as my mother-in-law who passed away last year. And so maybe we're just foolish Christians, I don't know, but we took that as what we wanted from the Lord, and so we caucused for Marco Rubio.
It'd be hard not to.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, it was just kind of obvious. And so, we got our picture taken with him. I still feel like a celebrity, to do that.
We've had our picture taken with different ones, but that was pretty cool, Mac. I think that what you just described was a very cool experience.
We really felt so, especially when Marco's wife's name was Jeanette, because my wife's been very sad about the loss of her mother last year. It'll be a month. It'll be a month here on the 17th, and that just kind of lifted her spirits. So, all right, so. Are you leaning one way or another, or are you not allowed to say that as the chair?
I'm just staying neutral for right now. I was with Governor O'Malley, and I felt that same kind of connection with him that you did with Marco Rubio.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But he's out now.
He's out now.
And it's just Hillary and Bernie.
Correct.
You're not feeling the burn yet, huh, Tom?
No, I'm not feeling the burn.
Okay. So tell me... you want to stay neutral. All right. So tell me, can you share with me then the good things about either one of those candidates and something that you're concerned with either one of those candidates? Would that be fair of you to do as the chair?
Yeah, that's fine. I think that it's starting to look a lot like Clinton's going to be our nominee, and I think after today in the voting, she's going to have a really probably unstoppable lead. With Clinton, I think the strong points to Clinton is that she is probably one of the most best prepared people we've ever had run for the office of presidency. She's, had certainly worked at the elbow of her husband for 8 years when he was in the presidency. She served in the Senate and really, I think, got a number of favorable comments about her efforts to reach across the aisle and to bring about compromise. And then as a Secretary of State, I thought she had a tremendous opportunity to get to know the world. She knows all the world leaders. She knows how things are working around the world. So she may be the best prepared person we've had in a long time to run for president of the United States. As a candidate, the one thing that we have to deal with is just the perception that she may not have a great deal of credibility with the voters. And we have to make sure that people understand that that is a perception, not necessarily a reality. And that's going to be her weakness as a candidate going forward, but I think it's something that she can overcome and will be able to connect with the voters. But Bernie Sanders is obviously someone who speaks in very clear direction as to where he wants to go, and I think offers the nation a chance to hopefully get out from under the burden of big money. And that's what he wants to do, is he wants to return the Democratic vote to the people. And his weakness will just be that right now I don't think he's going to be in a very good position delegate-wise by tomorrow.
Hey, Tom, you said something.
Which Tom? There's two of them.
Well, Tom Henderson, Democrat. Okay. Tom Republican, Tom Democrat. You said something key about money and Wall Street and big money. Why does not Bernie take the opportunity to turn squarely at Hillary anytime that debate says and say, you are the problem. You represent big money and Wall Street, and take the fight right at her. But he seems to, time and time again, shy away from really taking her on, full on.
Yeah, Frank, I don't know if... I see him do that at the debates. I've seen him take her on several times and say that she's been taking big money to make speeches, and she's got PACs, and he does attack her on that particular issue and has, I think, done that. But to your point, maybe he's not doing enough by way of strategy. Is that what you're saying? Or because I've heard him take her on that issue.
Well, it just seems like to me he keeps talking about the big machine called the Clintons. And if you're going to take the big machine, the Clintons, down, whoever the candidate is, Republican or Democrat, you got to take her full throat to the canvas, to the mat. And nothing short of that. You can't play nice with the Clintons, and Bernie seems to want to play nice, and I just don't see anybody beating Hillary, Republican or Democrat, playing nice with her.
Yeah, there's a strategic danger in trying to change your approach. He is of the opinion he has to take the high road. And I think he's done what he could on the issues. But you've seen, Marco Rubio, for instance, attack Trump recently in trying to attack him the same way he attacks other candidates. And I think it kind of throws you off your game. The voters have a perception of you, and now they have to adjust the perception to say, all right, I thought you were a nice guy. Now it doesn't sound like you might not be a nice guy. That's one of the issues that you run into as a candidate if you decide to change your approach.
Tom Henderson is here. He is the chair for the Polk County Democrats. Tom Coates is here, and he's a staunch conservative and a voice in our community for conservative politics. Obviously, Frank is not only producing today, but he's also got his voice here. And Bob Monsterette is here, the cat in the hat with the chat. And you can text us at the Service Legends Truth Talk text line at 515-809-0993, or it's your voice I want to hear in studio at 515-244-0077. Who do you think should get out of the race after today? Who do you think should get out of the race? Do you think Bernie should get out and just concede it to Hillary so Hillary can start focusing on the national election? Do you think that Cruz, if he does, do you think anybody past second place on the Republican side should get out? Is this the time when there's only Trump and one other candidate left? Or do you think Trump should get out? It is your voice I want to hear right here in Mac's World at 515-244-0077.
Well, the perception is, Mac, that if we don't get it to a one-on-one contest with Trump, and typically that would either be Cruz or Rubio. And Cruz has got to win Texas today. If he doesn't win Texas, I think it's over for him. I don't know where Rubio wins, but the assumption is that you got to get those two guys combined, drop off the other two, and go one-on-one. But that the assumption may be wrong because Cruz's people may go to Trump.
All right, we're coming back. We're live here in Mac's World on The Truth. 99.3, The Truth in Iowa.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
"21 minutes after the hour on the first day of March in the Lord's year 2016. If you want some good news, we are only 21 days away from spring. That's right, even though that little, what was it, a gopher? No, a woodchuck. No. Who was it that saw his shadow?
Phil the gopher.
The what?
Groundhog.
Groundhog. All right, good. Well, he saw his shadow, so supposedly 6 more weeks. But I guess that would have been about a month ago, so that'd be
We're
about right.
Ready to run the groundhog down.
Sure is a pretty day out today, but it is cold. It is very chilly. All right, my guest today, very pleased to have, and both of you, Toms, thank you very much. Tom, you're always good to come in every week, and I sure appreciate you coming in, especially during this election season. Tom Henderson, who is the chair of the Polk County Democrats, and I was thinking the first time I had you on was probably 12 years ago. Were you chair in 4 and 5?
Oh, yeah. I've been chair since 98.
Oh, my gosh. Nobody else wants the job, or you just keep winning?
Probably both.
Yeah, probably both. That's right. And, of course, Tom Coates, my good friend on politics, is here. And Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat watching the chat. And we've got the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line at 515-809-0993. And also our studio line at 515-244-0077. I'm just be curious to see what you think about should anybody get out? Should number 3 and down on the Republican side get out? If Bernie clearly does not make a dent in the delegates today, is it time for him to concede and let Hillary run the gambit? You were talking in the break, and I want to bring that up because I don't like things said when they're not on the air.
That's a cardinal sin, I know, Mac. I apologize.
Not a cardinal, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, the comment that Tom made in regards to the comment that Marco Rubio made, and you tend to agree with him, and I understand that. But my comment about Rubio is that he's that kind of a guy naturally. The Jeb Bush never was. Jeb tried to take on Trump head on, and he just wasn't that kind of a guy. Rubio, on the other hand, seems to me that he is that kind of a guy, a jokester. He was probably a fun guy to be around in school and college, the bars. That he takes this role rather naturally. Now, whether this comment about the hands was really pre-planned or not is in question. In my mind, he's gotten tired of being called Little Marco. And it just seems to him a natural, comeback on the guy that's given you a hard time to give him a hard time about something, and maybe he should have been doing it quicker.
Yeah, if you hadn't heard the comment on the hands, he just made some joke about how Donald Trump's hands are so small, and you know what that means. And I'm not offended by it because I try not to be offended, but it disappointed me that we had to talk about that. But man, when you're in the ring with Trump, low blows are completely acceptable.
That's right.
I mean, if he's going to throw them, you get to throw them.
That's right.
All right, let's go to the phones where Jerome is standing by. Jerome, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing today, Jerome?
Hey, Mac, good to talk to you again.
Nice to talk to you.
Mr. Henderson, no offense, sir, but you made a comment there about Mrs. Clinton, about her perception of her being uncredible. And the problem I have with that statement is that it's not a perception. She's uncredible. She's been caught in, I don't know how many lies. I mean, how many times does she have to lie before the American people? I mean, why is she not in prison yet? I mean, any other citizen that was doing the things that Hillary Clinton is doing would be in prison. And yet, you're, as a Democratic chair, saying that that's a perception? That she really isn't lying to the people?
All right, Jerome, I'll turn that question over to Tom Henderson and let him answer, and I appreciate you listening. Thanks for listening. So what do you say to that, Tom?
Well, I think what Jerome is saying is, again, a conclusion. And lots of times when people are asked what specifically did she lie about, they don't really come up with anything. I think that's part of the deal with her. Like she would say, if she was here right now, They've taken every shot they could at me, and I'm still standing. And when people say, why isn't she in jail? Well, what crime has she committed? Where are the charges? Has she been brought into trial? No. None of that's true. But it's just like with the Clintons. The Clintons seem to are like a red flag in front of a bull.
Yeah.
They're constantly being attacked and investigated. Bill Clinton was investigated the entire time he was in office.
Clinton was, I don't know where to start, but let me start with this, Tom. Okay. We could spend the rest of the time going through things that they did, and it was proven that they did. In fact, Bill Clinton had his law license removed after he left office from Arkansas. But let's go way back. Back in my earlier days, Tom, I was a commodity futures broker for Merrill Lynch. And there was a time back in the early 80s when the Clintons were in the mansion, the governor's mansion at Arkansas, that Tyson Foods wanted some favors. And the payoff was this. Hillary Clinton opened up a futures account with a company called Revco, a very dubious firm at that point. And she put $1,000 in, and she started trading cattle futures. And you may not be familiar with this, but what happened was in a short period of time, she made $100,000 trading cattle futures and then closed the account. Now, what Red Bone, who was the name of her broker, was doing was parking trades. They would take large cattle futures spreads, and the losing trade went into a different account that was covered by Tyson, and the winning trade stayed in her account till she had the $100,000, and then she closed the account. And they asked her, how did you come up with such marvelous trades? She said, well, I read the Wall Street Journal. And so this goes way back, but it was one that hit close to where I was when I learned what was going on. This was the start of a long litany of dishonest dealings. Now, since 2001, the Clintons have pocketed $153 million in speaking fees. Now, you say, well, that's not that big a deal, except many of those speaking fees were done when Hillary was the Secretary of State. One was done, I think, by Abu Dhabi or some Middle East country that had a petition in front of a special concession for their airport. While very few countries enjoyed that concession, they hired Bill to come over, make two 20-minute speeches, paid him $500,000 each, and miraculously on the back end of that, they get the concession that they wanted. Companies and countries paid large speaking fees to Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton, this has been all laid out. I don't think it's even in dispute. And while I could stand here and talk about the things that went on in Little Rock, in the White House, subsequent to the White House. I don't think there's any doubt. The caller is right. It's not a perception. It's a reality. The emails that we're talking about, the emails that General Petraeus got in serious trouble for, look mild in comparison to the things that Hillary did during that period of time. And the reason that she doesn't release the speaking tapes of when she was giving talks to Wall Street and the big banks is because she talks tough on the stump, which Bernie is right to say. But if we could see what she's saying to the banks that are paying her millions of dollars, we would find out that what she's saying to the banks when she and Bill are giving their talks are far different than she's giving out on the stump. And I don't blame her for not wanting to release them.
She said she would.
Well, she said she would if everybody else did.
If Bernie did.
Well, Bernie hasn't made those kind of talks.
Right, that's right.
and Bernie, God love him, he's in his 70s, and if that's all they got to put up as a scarecrow to make it appear that Hillary's got a real challenge, fine and dandy. But he's in his 70s. He's an avowed socialist. I don't even think he's a member of the Democrat Party. And he has not been giving six-figure speaking fees to banks and Wall Street. He's at least a legitimate, true socialist. He believes we should redistribute the wealth in this country. I don't happen to share those beliefs, but many in the Democrat Party obviously do. And there's more enthusiasm, even though he's going to fall far short of the votes he needs, Tom. He is at least engendering legitimate support for his views within the Democrat Party. Now, the lack of enthusiasm is another issue. Republicans have turned out in record numbers here in Iowa, South Carolina, and Nevada. Super Tuesday, you will see Republicans turn out in record numbers. We are seeing significant voter non-enthusiasm, non-turnout. I think it was 16% less in South Carolina that was the last time around. Nevada, Iowa, none of those turnouts are happening, so she is not enthusiastically being embraced by the voters of the Democrat Party. So that goes beyond the point that she's not trustworthy. There's no enthusiasm. This is an interesting race, and I give you that. Trump is a non-traditional candidate. Bernie is a non-traditional candidate. But the true candidate for the Democrats in the anointing is Hillary, and there is no real enthusiasm, even in her ranks, much less in the general population.
Well, yeah, Tom, I think that's nice, but just
Can we go to break now, Mac?
Yeah, let's go to break.
Tom gets a full 4 minutes.
Well, I heard the Republicans get up and celebrate the 180,000 people that came out to the caucuses in Iowa, and I think that's terrific. They don't ever talk about the 172,000 Democrats that showed up for a two-person race. So you can say that the enthusiasm's down, and that's fine. That's fine. They don't talk about how, with regard to the change of voter IDs, the Democrats' registration actually increased after the caucuses. The Republicans did not pick up as many people as the Democrats. So, I don't really think the enthusiasm is necessarily on one side. I would like to, with regard to Hillary Clinton, I've read the stuff that you talked about before. She was never, ever charged with any of that stuff. They've never been anything more than just talk about that. But, for instance, the article...
No, wait. On the cattle futures, for instance,
I'm not done. The cattle futures, that was written about in the New Yorker magazine. I read about it back when President Clinton was in office. What was done? They never said that she did anything wrong. She invested in those things. The broker himself passed off the losing things that you've talked about to the loser files.
Parking the trade is what we call it.
But she wasn't involved with that.
Well, she was the recipient of that 100,000, and then she shut it down. And when she was asked, "How did you choose such marvelous winning trades?" She said, "I read the Wall Street Journal." Now, Tom, that defies credulity. When you can put $1,000 in a short period of time, you make 100,000. You take it out and you say, "Well, I washed my hands of it. I'm not responsible." Now, that alone is not the biggest deal, but it's an early insight into the character of the woman.
Well, she didn't do that, though. It was somebody else who was trying to go closer to the Clintons. The guy who parked the trades.
R.L. Redbone was a broker. He was acting on orders.
Right.
Tyson was pulling those strings, and they got millions of dollars of benefits from the state government subsequent to that $100,000 pay. Yeah, you guys say something, Frank?
Hey, can I get one in here, Tom?
Sure.
Let's just do something really simple. I mean, she absolutely fudged the truth when she said she took sniper fire in Bosnia. Then you got Brian Williams out there basically getting canned from NBC for basically almost the same fib. And NBC used the fact that their viewers and listeners needed trust and credibility in their anchor man to be able to believe what he has to say. So what I'm saying is if NBC wants to use that standard for their anchor man, don't you think the American people need to use the same standard for somebody they vote for president?
Sorry.
Wrong, man.
That's my fault. My fault. Go ahead.
I'm finished.
Okay, you're talking about when she was first lady and she went over to visit Bosnia?
Well, yes, she was supposedly took sniper fire. And
was that when she was Secretary of State?
No, that's when she was, I believe, First Lady.
Well, either way.
When Bill was prosecuting the Bosnian War.
Right. I think she went over there with Chelsea, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. I got nothing on that one. Sorry.
Well, the news came back and reported that she was not under fire, that she was calmly walking around, and yet she said she had to run and she was under fire, and just like Brian Williams did, tried to make it sound worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen the video. I saw her get off the plane, and she wasn't under fire.
All right, but let's go back to your point. I just didn't get it, Tom, where you said that she wasn't responsible for that $100,000 payoff. If the account was in her name and she was the recipient of that $100,000, and she admitted that the $100,000 came into the account, and she gave some phony answer about reading the Wall Street Journal, is how she made these decisions on cattle. So she was taking responsibility for the trades, and she claimed that this was, because she was able to read the Wall Street Journal, she was able to discern how to make these futures trades. How is that not her responsibility?
Tom, you hold on, and you can answer that when we come back from a break, and you don't have to answer. You're not here to do that. You do have some states, though, that we want to talk about, right?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we come back, and we're having a great day. It's Super Tuesday here in Mac's World.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour, 3:38, top of the hour Salem Radio Network news. And then next hour, of course, Chris Roloff in. We'll be talking about some of the latest news items. And I believe one of the African-American ladies who texted us yesterday on the Service Legend Truth Talk text line is going to call in around 4:30 or so.
Well, I'm hoping so. I suggested that, but I haven't had a response, but we'll see.
All right, so we went to break. Tom Henderson, the chair of the Polk County Democrats, do you want to feedback on anything there or move on?
Yeah, I probably just move on. I still go back to the trade happened back in the 80s, if I remember right.
Early 80s.
Yeah, and nothing ever became of that other than I think you've indicated that perhaps she had some inside information. But,
No, she didn't.
But you know, here's the thing about Tyson. Tyson's located in which state? I'm just curious.
I think they're based in Arkansas.
Right, and so Bill Clinton, as the governor of Arkansas, tried to make sure that that company flourished. And that goes on here in the state of Iowa, too. That's not that unusual either. They never have ever said that he actually got an illegal payoff or the lines were drawn there. To your point, I also understand how you can draw lines and ask questions, and those are all very good questions that you raised. So, but I just think the one thing about Hillary Clinton is she has been vetted. I mean, she has been constantly attacked. Some of these other candidates that are going to emerge on the Republican side, like Trump and Rubio and Cruz, when they get up on the stage, we still don't know all we know about them, and there's going to be some surprises that come out with their candidacies as well.
Well, let me ask you one other question before we leave Hillary.
Okay.
And this, you talk about being vetted. She has been questioned. When she gave the talk to the survivors of the 4 Benghazi families, the victims that were over there, and she was emailed numerous times by ambassador from Libya saying we need more security, and they were ignored. But she came back and she told those families this was the result of a video, and they were going to get the guy that did that video. But at the same time, her emails that have now come to light have shown that she knew that this was not the result of a video, that this was a planned terrorist attack. That is another window into the mindset. Now, it may not be criminal, Tom, and I'm not accusing her of criminal activity, but I am accusing her of having the kind of character that would bold-faced lie to survivors of grieving families face to face, and then turn around and at the same time admit to your own family and your own insiders that you knew it wasn't what you were telling them. Now, again, you don't even have to answer that, but this has come to light, and I don't think it's arguable that she lied to the families and she told her own people something very much different.
Well, you know something, I wasn't there for that, so I don't know what she told them particularly. I think she probably felt very, very sad that anybody died, and I think she was there to comfort the families. I don't know what she said to them. If she said something that she thought would comfort them at that time, then more power to her. I'm amazed at Benghazi, which I'm very sad about. I'm sorry that anybody lost their life
Did you see the movie, by the way?
No, I have not seen the movie. But I will tell you, it's amazing how much energy is spent on Benghazi and none is spent on Iraq, where President Bush took us into a country looking for mass weapons of destruction, didn't find any.
Whoa. We found them.
Which ones?
They found the cake yellow mustard in Syria over the last 6 months.
And
that has been proven.
The
Department of Defense
Iraq,
in Syria?
In Syria. And if you're Saddam Hussein, where are you going to ship it to if they're going to invade you? You're going to ship it to Syria. I'm just saying. And
I think you're right, Mac.
And also, when the president of a country says, I have nuclear weapons and I'm going to use them against you, I'm glad the president took it seriously. All right,
we knew he had mustard gas and other things because he used it on his own people.
True.
So, anyway, but go ahead, Tom, to your point.
But the intelligence was not correct. It was not correct.
Well,
the time he went in there, and Colin Powell admitted that it was not correct, and many people have admitted it wasn't correct, and we made a huge, I think, foreign policy mistake when we went in there. But that's different.
I think more to your point, I don't disagree with your assessment that Iraq to march in there, because his father did not cross over. Remember when we had the Operation Desert Storm? He did not cross that border to Iraq because he did not want to involve regime change. And I think the things that were done then and subsequently in Libya, I think the Egyptian thing, the Syrian thing, all those things are disrupting and destabilizing the region. So I will agree with your basic point that it is probably unwise to have these regime changes, and we've had them under Republicans and Democrats, and I think they're unwise. I would agree with that.
Tom Henderson is my guest. He's the chair of the Polk County Democrats. Tom Coates is here. He's the chair of Tom Coates. And Bob Montserrat is here. And we've got our Service Legends Truth Text Talk line where you can just text us a message at 515-809-0993. Now, you're about to read something. And this is my biggest frustration in life with social media. And here's an example of it. Go ahead and by the way, I'm not critical of the person that sent this. I just happened. This is one story that I picked up and looked at, and it's not true. There's no source. There's no credibility to it. But it ended up on Facebook. It ran pretty hard for 3 or 4 days, and so therefore, a listener wants to ask the question about what about this thing?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So are you willing to overlook Rubio's past homosexual activity, his right-hand man's support of same-sex marriage, his financial misdeeds, and his childish behavior of late?
All right, let's first take the homosexual behavior. That there's no credibility there. And we have to remember that, and this happens on both sides. I'm watching it right now. There's a story that is hitting Facebook that is it's going all over the place. And I'll bet you donuts to dollars it's not true. And it's about Hillary Clinton. And I'm not even going to bring it up because I don't believe it's true. But they'll put it out there. There will be a damaging picture. It'll be a headline that grabs. And all of a sudden, that's what social media will run with. That's the thing I dislike about social media. Now, what was the second thing? The thing with the hands, I didn't like that. I said that. And what was the third thing he brought up?
His right-hand man's support of same-sex marriage, his financial misdeeds, and his childish behavior of late.
Okay, well, his once again, this person is reading, whoever you are, and I want to thank you for listening, and I'm not trying to be critical of you at all. I am forced as a journalist to go deeper than most people need to go. because I can't sit here on the radio and bring up stuff that I haven't sourced. We talked about this yesterday with the Des Moines Register. You have to source these things, but social media doesn't require sourcing. 20 years ago, when I was or I guess I should say 30 years ago, when I graduated from journalist school, if some of these things that are being said about all candidates were ever put in print or on broadcast, you'd lose your job. I mean, Brian Williams, we talked about Brian Williams a minute ago.
Right.
You'd lose your job. And so the whole thing about the financial deal, that's not real. That's a credit card thing. The Democrats or somebody did an excellent job of trying to make you believe it was money mismanagement through headlines and things like that. And it just wasn't. And whether one of his people supports same-sex marriage, as a Christian, I follow Jesus' walk. And his walk says you love everybody. You love everybody. There is no one sin except blasphemy that is greater than any other. So you bring me a homosexual, I'm going to love on them. And I'm going to teach them, I'm going to show them the gospel, I'm going to show them Jesus' love. And if they choose that sin, as it states in the book, in the Bible, is something they can't do, then that'll be between them and Jesus. My favorite saying is, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little. Every once in a while, I've got somebody that says, oh, you can't be a Christian if you say that word. Yeah, I can. You apparently don't know about the relationship. You only know about the religion. And there's a difference. All right. Tom Henderson is here, Chair of Polk County Democrats. We are almost out of time. But we got 1 minute before the one break. Talk to me a little bit about some important states tonight.
Well, I think everybody thinks that a lot of these states have been decided, but the viewers may want to watch Arkansas, where Cruz is ahead right now, Minnesota, where Rubio is leading according to the polling, and Alaska, where Trump and Cruz are involved in a neck-to-neck battle. Virginia, Rubio's made a big run there. He's run a lot of ads there. He's trying to make a stand there, and that's made the national news. We'll see if that makes a difference. But there are some states worth watching on the Republican side. On the Democratic side, Oklahoma and Massachusetts are not that far apart. Clinton leads by 2 points in Oklahoma and by 7 points in Massachusetts. So this could be fun to watch as well.
All right, Tom Henderson, the chair of the Polk County Democrats in the House, and Tom Coates, the chair of Consumer Credit, and just a good conservative guy. We're coming back. You got questions? You've got a comment. I want to hear them. 515-240-0077 or the Service Legends Truth Talk text line at 515-809-0993. Thanks for listening to Mac's World. Do we have any idea?
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before 3 o'clock, 3:50 on the first day of March in the Lord's year 2016. It's Super Tuesday. More delegates, more states, more people voting in one single day today than any other place. And clearly, tomorrow at this time, we're going to have a better picture of how we're going to move forward on this. Now, Tom Henderson is here. He's the chair of the Polk County Democrats. Tell me if I've got this understanding right. There are superdelegates on the Democratic side, and those are elected officials. You have to be an elected official to be a superdelegate, or how do you become a superdelegate?
Or a party official. You could be
or a party
the
official.
State chair of our party here in Iowa is a superdelegate.
All right. How many superdelegates are there?
About 20% of the total delegate number.
Okay. 20%. All right. Now, and I just don't understand the Democratic side very well. If I'm a young person who has been engaged in this process by Bernie Sanders, because he's kind of doing what Barack Obama did 8 years ago. He's getting the young people. If Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders go to convention with about the same number of quote-unquote delegates, but Hillary gets the nomination because of superdelegates, my concern would be that we're disenfranchising these young people. Because in their mind, well, Bernie got as many as Hillary did, so Bernie ought to win, or at least ought to be a tie or whatever. And in fact, that won't be the case. In many ways, the Clinton machine, organization, whatever you want to call it, is shored up most of those superdelegates.
Well, the thing about conventions is it's not exactly an election. It is a party selection process. Back in 1968, the party bosses all picked the president. And then they decided to do away with that with the McGovern reforms. And in 1972, that was totally organic. We did nothing but pick delegates from primaries and caucuses. And we had a disaster. So what they did after that was they decided to blend it. And so they have a little bit of both. They have 20% of the old system where we have leaders who are really knowledgeable about what wins in the United States selecting them. And then we have an organic group of 80% that are all just the common voters. So it's a good blend, and it's hopefully selected good nominees for the party. The Democrats have done very well in past presidential elections, the last 5 or so. So it's a system that seems to work, and we feel like we pick a good candidate.
And now, are you a superdelegate?
No.
But the state chair is?
Yes.
Okay.
State chair and the DNC people are elected to from Iowa are superdelegates. And so if you're a congressman, you are, senator.
Okay.
Governor.
So if Bernie and Hillary should somehow go into the convention with an equal number of delegates, and because of the superdelegates, Hillary walks away, what would I say? What should I say to a young person who feels disenfranchised?
Well, right now, I think Hillary Clinton is winning the primary, so she seems to be the one that should be picked.
Yeah, you're right.
Back in 2008, she was winning the superdelegates until Barack Obama started winning primaries, and the superdelegates shifted into his column.
Yeah, they did.
So they're watching. They aren't committed to anybody. They're not locked in. And right now they're leaning Clinton. But if Sanders came on and became a really strong candidate they thought should be the nominee, they could switch.
When does the superdelegate physically vote? Is that at the convention?
Yes.
Okay. Tom Coates is also here from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. Frank, you've got a comment or question?
Well, Tom, for some reason, mysteriously made my question. He said the superdelegates were with Hillary last time until they found out Obama was viable, and then they bailed on her. I think potentially the same thing could happen this time. I don't think anybody is solid with Hillary. I mean, if anybody would step up that they thought was viable, they'd dump her in a heartbeat. But because she's the only one to dance with, they're dancing with her. But if Bernie should somehow catch fire, I think these superdelegates would jump to him.
That's possible. Anything's possible for the very same reason it happened in 2008. And we talked a little bit off the air. The Republicans also have this. They just don't have as large a percentage.
Okay.
And they really aren't called superdelegates in the rules, but they are still people who are elected officials. And so the Republicans have a group of delegates, too, that are kind of ex officio to the convention.
Now, your convention is before or after the Republican?
After.
And you're what, in July?
No, we'll be in August, I think.
All right.
Late August, usually, maybe early September.
All right, and July, I think, then is a Republican.
Yeah, it usually is, or it could be early August.
Okay.
Depends on whether I should know that. I don't know.
Could I ask Tom a quick question before we get off the air? I'm curious on this, Tom. If something were to happen, I mean, Bernie's not going to be the guy. She's going to be the candidate. If something were to happen, whether that would be an indictment or a health issue or whatever, and she decided that she did not want to run, could you come into the convention and draft somebody like Joe Biden to be your candidate? Could that happen?
Yes. Yeah, that could happen.
Okay, because I've had discussions and I've had bets that eventually she's going to go down and Joe Biden gets drafted. Even late, that could happen, even though he's not running in these different states.
Right. Yeah, you've said that for 6 months.
Yeah, that's my prediction. But anyway, I wanted to know if you thought it was possible.
Yeah, no, it definitely is possible. And really, there isn't a law that necessarily binds the delegates. I know maybe some states have got something like that, but I don't know about that. Typically, the delegates can still go to convention, even if they've been, have said they were going to support Hillary and then change their vote. And it does happen on occasion, not very often.
Thank you.
Bob?
Yeah, that was a question we had on chat from Brad. He was wondering about concerns about Hillary Clinton's health. Talking about blood clots, possibility of a stroke, and you're hearing this on the news.
I haven't heard anything about her health. I understand she has a very good health. She's got look at her family history. Her mom was, is very, very still around, I think. But anyway,
I don't know.
She's got a good family history. I don't think she's got any illnesses that I know of.
As the chair, are you able to speculate who you think would make a good VP candidate for her?
You just asked a very good question about who goes first. And the Democrats go second because we currently have the White House. I think that Hillary Clinton's going to pick a VP that is partially a reaction to who the Republicans take.
Okay.
And it needs to balance the ticket. There's a lot of factors, but part of it will be a reaction to who the Republicans have on their ticket to make sure that we're competitive.
All right.
Somebody under 70?
In the United States, I think we throw people under the bus who are older, and we should treasure them. I really think they have tremendous experience. And look at Ronald Reagan, probably one of your favorites.
Yeah, he
elected when he was 69. He served till he was 77.
In your estimation, Tom, and again, I don't want to put you in a bad position because you're the chair, but will tomorrow morning ring a pretty clear path for Hillary Clinton?
I think she's going to have a tremendous victory tonight. But I will tell you, Bernie Sanders has got a ton of money, and if he wants to stay until the convention, he can stay. And I don't see any reason why he's going to drop out.
Tom, what do you think is going to happen tonight in the Super Tuesday?
On the Democrat side?
No, Republican.
Okay, Republican side. Like I say, if Trump does even stronger than the polls would indicate, and he pretty much runs the table, they are not going to have enough time to get this mano-a-mano thing. And what I started to say was there's an assumption that if Cruz and Rubio mesh up and they can bury the hatchet amongst themselves and decide who's going to be one, who's going to be two on that ticket, and they get Ben and Kasich to drop out, that still doesn't guarantee that they beat Trump. Yeah, he can't get to 50% right now, but especially a lot of those Cruz people are anti-establishment. They are angry as they can be at the establishment Republicans. There are some of those people in the Democrat Party, which is why they're with Bernie, too. But they are not going to go with Rubio. They likely jump to Trump.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming in. Look forward to having you back. We'll see you back here next hour, live in Mac's World on The Truth, 99.3.